It's an exciting Tuesday afternoon. We are here once again to take a look at issues that will emanate on international scene. Yes, international forum. I am Wilson Marshall. Today is all about the cabinet of Joe Biden. Yes, the U.S. president-elect right now. He has hit the ground running, though he will be inaugurated January. And there's a story about him that he had this incident at home that has something to do with his leg, fractured leg. But I believe that somewhere along the line he's going to get well. Now let's take a look at some stories making the rounds. Yes, U.S. President-elect Joe Biden announces all-female senator press team. Can you imagine that? People like saying that this may just be a slap on the Senate president's face, Donald Trump's face, because he's been accused of not being gender sensitive. Now, for Joe Biden to be like, okay, fine, my press team, all female, senior press team, is it going to be gender sensitive when we talk about his own administration? Women play more role in governance when compared to the time of Donald Trump. Yeah, that's a question people have been asking to see if this man you're seeing right here is going to change so many rules when we talk about governance. Is it going to be an all-comers affair? Yes, all-comers with good experience, no matter your tribe, your religion, your race. You know, you just come together in America to make America great again. How is it going to pilot that affair? Well, my analyst is going to throw more light on this particular subject, all-female senior press. Now, U.S. President Donald Trump, he has signaled that he's prepared to leave the White House after much argument, after much soliciting, after much, dissatisfaction about the just concluded U.S. election. He was advised by his friend, his ally, even some Republicans, to please forget about this retinue of court cases. Let sleeping dog lie. Just move out, okay? Hand over, have your dignity intact. But Donald Trump, some moments ago, let's say some weeks ago, minutes after the election, was crying foul due to what he perceived as the election being rigged in favor of Joe Biden. The big question now is, what kind of deal was he given? Was it a juicy deal, or was it just Donald Trump just go? Later, we'll talk about you coming again for the second term. People have been asking so much question because this man has been so adamant that he will go to court. Those are many of his court cases have been jettisoned, but still, he's like, somewhat adamant. But now he'll be like, okay, fine, I've accepted it. I'm preparing to leave. I just have to leave. Nothing they say lasts forever. So is going to be handing over to the oldest president of the United States, President-elect Joe Biden. Yeah, according to U.S. record, he's the oldest. Is it time for the older ones to rule? Talking about coronavirus, COVID-19 vaccine. According to what reports are saying, they're saying in Russia, the vaccine has shown some encouraging outcome, in the sense that the test result, if they've been injected and they're exposed to the virus, somewhere along the line, the immunity will just build up to kick against the virus, making them resistant to the virus. Because it's like each country, the UK, the US, Russia, even France, they are like trying to beat time to produce the vaccine. And for the Russians, they're saying theirs is showing encouraging results. Will the world turn to Russia, or they have to wait for the US to bring out their vaccine? It's all about vaccination right now for the world to really conquer this pandemic, coronavirus. We've been talking so much about it. And what really made Africans be very, very upset was when one man suggested that it should be tested on Africans. That didn't go down through with Africa, but right now they're testing it in anyone that is willing to submit him or herself to be tested for them to really fight against the coronavirus. Well, that's it for the news around the world. We go on a break. When we return, we'll take a look at the president-elect's cabinet, his impact in Joe Biden's administration. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for staying tuned to this frequency. If you just joined us, this is International Forum. Today is all about the cabinet of the president-elect, the impact it will be having in Biden's administration. Yes, come January, he will be inaugurated as the oldest president in America. People like talking about it. Will Sleepy Joe play out itself when he's in the Oval Office? We don't know that yet. With me here in the studio to talk about this is a legal practitioner. We'll talk about international affairs. He is top-notch in his analysis. Osazua, welcome to International Forum. Appreciate your coming.
It's always my pleasure.
Now, let's start off with that, the nickname given to Joe Biden by Donald Trump, Sleepy Joe. Is it going to plant itself when he becomes president, especially when he's alone in the Oval Office?
You trust Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He's very good at giving his political adversaries nicknames. But somewhat, Sleepy Joe never really stuck the way Crooked Hillary did. Remember, even during the 2015 Republican their nomination process, when he nicknamed all of them, Little Rubio, what do you call it? Low energy Bush. That was Jeb Bush.
Jeb Bush, yeah.
It's low energy Bush. What did he talk? Lying Ted. That was Ted Cruz then. Lying Ted. So that's him. Crazy Benny. All of them. So he's good at that. But we know Joe has been running around even at his age. You see, anytime he's coming on during the campaign, he's always jogging and running to the place to know that he's very quite energetic and you know what he's doing. But we know we are almost always sure he's going to be a one-term president. I don't see him running again at 82. But I would say that's a good thing that Donald Trump is on his way out to the White House.
All right, now let's take a look at the age of Joe Biden and of course the Oval Office, talking about the pressure in the Oval Office. Some of you know that when Barack Obama became president, his hair just turned gray over 8 years because of the pressure. And now we have a man that is close to 80 becoming the president of America. How do you think he's going to function?
Yes, thank you very much. That Obama's one was quite phenomenal.
Yeah.
We saw a very young, ebullient,
vibrant Barack Obama. He was as young looking as 25 or 30. Before 2 years, he started looking like 60. It turned great.
His son was really phenomenal. His son was extraordinary. That shows the work he needed to do, the hard work that office demands. And that's that. I think Joe Biden has been there. He knows his way around the White House. He's not a newcomer. He has been in the public eye for almost 50 years now. Being a senator and then 8 years as vice president. Now 4 years, now he's going to be president. I think he knows how to do his work and enjoy himself. He knows how to do the job without pressures mounting on him. I think he will just take his time, will take good care of himself, health-wise, and ensure that it doesn't break down, ensure that it doesn't. That's why of course, he has brilliant people now that we are yet, of course, to discuss. Yeah,
we'll get to that point.
I think he will age gracefully as he has indeed been aging. Even at 78, he don't look 78. That man can beat any young man in a dash. You know that. So I think it's quite.
I don't know that. I don't know that because I don't know your dislike for the like trying to pour more encomium on Joe Biden. Now, still the age factor. Don't forget also about his health issue. Is it going to allow him work? Because you set an example of an African president that had to go take care of himself for almost a year. And the country was like complaining, where is Mr. President? Is it going to be the case for Joe Biden, knowing fully well that he has a health challenge?
I don't know the health challenge we're talking about, frankly. If you're talking about the ankle that is sprained while playing with his dog recently, that's the only thing we know. He has been quite healthy. He has been quite. Look at him. A good look at him shows that this is a man who knows how to take care of himself. Even at 78, there is no extra fat anywhere in his body, unlike a budging Donald Trump who has been declared officially obese and all that stuff. I think Biden knows how to take care of himself, and he has been taking care of himself. Of course, he has a very young vice president who's 55 now years, and so that one can, the bulk of the work is there. And of course, the people we are also going to talk about today, people who he has nominated to fill different key positions so far, there are people who can do the job. And like I said, he has been around for half a century. He knows how to work without pressure, without breaking down. and he will continue in that light, if you ask me.
All right, now you just made mention of one fact about Harris, the vice president, younger, far younger, when you compare Joe Biden's age and of course her age, and you talked about bulk of the load. Do you think that Harris would be the one to run the government while Biden would be there just as a figurehead? Because you just hinted at that. You use the word bulk of the load, younger VP, come on.
No, there's no way, there's so much to be done. There is so much to be done, and the U.S. president, it's just policy formulation, and then you lead by example. Let's go this way based on certain things your age have looked into that this is good for the nation, and you have people. Do you know that the White House and the office of the United States President has over 4,000 political appointees, over 4,000 political appointees. And these are the people who don't.
And they report to one man.
Yes.
One man superseding or every other 4,000. Is that not enough pressure?
No, this man we are talking about is not somebody coming in from nowhere, from business, who cannot read the daily briefings. Like we are made to understand that Trump doesn't have time to look at all those files in his desk. They drop them there, and he doesn't even look at them calls really. Doesn't even flip through them. He doesn't have time to go open those files. This is somebody who has been in Washington for about 50 years, who has been immersed into the nitty-gritty of the bureaucratic works that being a senator for over 30 years and a vice president for over 8 years. He knows his work. That's what he has been doing all his life. It's not like he's entering a new terrain, something that is new to him, something that is not that he has not been used to. In fact, the last 4 years is like a vacation for him. He just went to take a nap and to freshen up. And the man has freshened up sufficiently and is set to take and do the business of the state.
All right, now let's come to his cabinet. Talk about selection of his cabinet. Take a look at the senior team. Talking about the media team, so to speak. Talk about senior ladies occupying that particular position, the press. Is this a kind of a message to Donald Trump that is living, who has been accused of not being gender sensitive towards the ladies?
Yes, thank you very much. You see, Biden has not had his love for being gender sensitivity. He has told us that he thinks women will form a bulk of his staff, of his administration, both at the cabinet level and the different directorate. That's what he said, that he thinks so, and that he will work towards that. He's a man who realizes that he rode to the White House based on the votes of the women, who saw him as somebody who is more dependable and a character and a figure that you can point your child or your daughter to. Look, this is a man to emulate. This is a man, this is how a president should look and talk and speak as. These are a president, someone you can direct, somebody that can shine the light, that you can take after. So ladies have already followed him. And Trump, of course, have always had issues with women. Unfortunately, he has always seen them as something to be had, as possessions, as something to be, I don't know how to put it, you know what I'm talking about. So that has always been the way Trump sees women, to be used and then.
But he never said that.
Of course.
He never said that.
You want me to mention one of those nasty things he has said? You know what he talked about women. So that's how he has always talked about women. He has always seen that the man is a typical man. He's a typical man, so to speak. So that's why his cabinet was merely 80% white men. Not just men, white men, over 80%. These are open facts. You can always check them out. Over 80% of Trump cabinet were white men. So this is how he thinks, not just men. You have only one black man there, Dr. Ben Carson, that was housing an urban development. We never heard from Ben Carson in over almost 4 years. Someone said he was just quietly doing his job, but I don't know about that. But because it was somebody not to be seen, so he could afford to put a Ben Carson somewhere so that just to say I'm not racist or something like that. Just one person. So we know about that it's not comfortable with many about him. It's not comfortable when he does interview with women reporters and you know those stuff, and it gets very uncomfortable. And either he walks away or he just finds something to say, that nasty things. So and they got tired of him. And it's still shocking that, of course not shocking, that over 67%, almost 70% of white men still voted for Donald Trump. But for the women with college degrees that can think independently for themselves, that not emotionally encumbered by issues of race or religion, who saw Trump for who he is, who were able to embracketize Trump without any preconceived notion of whether he's fighting for certain kind of people who might be people like me, but looking at him holistically as he is, his words, his actions, his thoughts, the way he carries himself, they said, no, this is not a man for us. This is not our person. No matter the kind of primordial sentiment that he want to whip at, that is fighting for whites, he's fighting for Christians, they saw through him and they jettisoned him.
All right, now let's take a look at what we feel may be the composition of Biden's cabinet. Now, do you see a kind of, by any means, him extending his olive branch to people in the Republican Party that are really well-to-do and talk about governance, that has this argument that can make his administration better? Let's talk about that before come to the House. Do you see him reaching out to them?
Yes, it will be very unfortunate if Biden does not include one or two Republicans in his government. If not at cabinet level, there are other very higher offices that are as good as cabinet levels appointments. Because we've seen what some key Republicans did for him. People who broke rank with their parties. Of course, we know what what they call the Lincoln Project, a group of Republicans who said, no, this is not our person, that Trump is anything but a Republican. And that is the truth. The Republican ethos and principles as we know them, Trump jettisoned all of them, trampled upon them, and it turned the table around. We all know that for a long time, the Republican Party, as one analyst said, has been a conservative party with white nationalist fringe. That the Republican Party has always been, for a long time, a conservative party with a few white nationalist fringe. But when Trump came, he turned it around. That the Republican Party now became a white nationalist party with a conservative base. It wasn't about a conservative party, it now became a white national party with a kind of sentiment for conservatism. So that's what Trump did. So there were certain Republicans who saw through him and they couldn't stay with that. Let me give you some few examples. Like the Secretary General, the Secretary of State for Georgia. You know the intense pressure, because in America the Secretary of State for each state is in charge of elections.
Elections, yes.
The pressure that young man have been put through since election day is immense. But he said no. No matter how the calls he got from Lindsey Graham, or the pressure he got from Trump, he said no. I have a job to do. I'm doing my job, and I have not seen any evidence of massive rigging or anything that will enable me to invalidate a single vote. Talk less to throw away over 3 million votes that you are asking for. And they laponding. They did and said so.
And he's a Republican.
And he's a Republican. So that's somebody. Or is it the judges? You know, the courts, about 80% of the courts that Trump have filed cases. Most of them that they were Republican judges, but they dismissed Trump because they couldn't see, because the law is not about your party affiliation. It's about facts and evidence you are brought before the court. And these facts and these evidences were manifestly missing. So they couldn't, I know the irony about this thing that Trump, all these cases he's filed. Trump is pleading fraud, massive voters fraud, election rigging in the media. But when it goes to court, it doesn't say this. Because when you get to court, you have to be able to, when you say this, you have to be able to
present facts.
To present facts. And when it gets to court, he won't say this. And it's so, just imagine somebody like that. All the noise he has been making since election day that there's massive rigging, there's electoral fraud, all that. He has not said one case of fraud in court. Because no evidence to that effect to say that there has been massive electoral malpractice or voters fraud or rigging or those stuff. But it goes to the media, it goes to Twitter every day to say that it's fraud. So certain Republicans saw that. And ordinarily, it should be difficult to see that white is something that anybody that God has blessed with memory, with with rationalism and with a clear mind and conscience can say, yes, this is white or this is black. But a lot of Trump modeling the field and making people afraid, Trump will say this is black, instead of some people saying no, it is. Instead of saying no, if you ask them, say, Trump said this thing that is white is black, they won't say it, they'll just be going. Are you getting it? They don't want to say something that will contradict what Trump has said.
Yeah.
Even when they know that what Trump has said is manifestly defective, they won't just say anything, but must I say something about it? So they lack that moral courage to stand up against the president and say, look, sir, this is not right.
All right now.
So there have been certain Republicans who, even the governor of Georgia himself, Brian Kemp, he said Trump was asking to override this Secretary of State and annul the election. He said, I don't have that power. Just like the judge told him, he said it is the ballot that decide the presidency, not the brief you give it. He said it's not lawyers that decide who is the president of America. He said it's the people. So the Brian Kemp said, no, I cannot do that. I don't have that power that they ask him to. You want me to become a despot or become something I'm not? I cannot in good conscience do that, sir. And he's having a problem with it. Just this morning, just today evening, Arizona, another Republican state, certified the election for Joe Biden. And he's attacking the governor, he's a fellow Republican, attacking the Secretary of State. This morning, go to Twitter now, he just raving and shouting and cursing and everything. He wants people to toe his line. Which is very sad.
Now, do you see Republicans working with Biden, even if it should extend the olive branch to come work with him?
The we at the level, at the executive level. But what we don't know now is at the legislative level. If the senators now, we have is about they have 46 to 50 now with 2 independents, and those in the 2 independents they always call calls with Democrat. We can say 48 to 50 now. We have 2 toss-up in Georgia. So the Democrats need to get those 2 seats. If Biden is to make any meaningful impact, if Biden presidency is to be able to reverse the damages that Trump have done in the past 4 years and chart a new course for America's future, they need those 2 seats in Georgia. If they don't get it, then they have to find a way to work with the Republicans. But Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, now, from his body language, he still hasn't agreed that Biden won. He's afraid of Trump and his base. And
that is one man you cannot jettison.
Of course. That's what the Republican Party have turned themselves to. They have been hijacked by Trump, and they are the mercy of Trump. If Trump pulls his vote...
Are they hijacked by Trump, or this being a party loyalist?
It's not you remember 2016 when Trump was about to, when it became evident that Trump was going to get the Republican ticket, there was big commotion. The party hierarchy didn't like him. So they were trying to do everything they could to deprive him of that ticket. But he has a certain base. Those are the base who listens to him. You know why they do listen to him? Because he's able to say certain things that the ordinary Republican thinks inside, but he's not bold enough to audibly articulate. But Trump is bold to say those things. And they say, these are man. It's not that the Republicans are angels or something. Inside their heart, this prejudice is there.
Don't you think you're generalizing?
No, most of them.
Most of them. Not all of them.
No, not all of them, of course. I just told you about some fine Republicans, the governor of Arizona, the governor of Georgia, and even the Secretary of State for both Georgia and Arizona. And so many like that, so many nice, godly people. When they say we are Christians, we know them. It's by their work, we know them. It's not by anybody can use your mouth to declare I'm this or I'm that. It's by your fruits that you know people. It's not by words are so cheap. It's what you do. If you say if it is a requirement that do not lie, you don't lie. If your faith requires you not to lie, why will you lie? A man who lies constantly cannot stop lying. They will not tell me that person is a Christian. I beg to differ. I can never accept that. So there are certain Republicans, my brother, who have seen through. Who have seen through Trump, and they're not ready to toe his line of falsehood, of malice, of shame and ignominy. They stood up and they're still standing up for the integrity of the election. Imagine a man who appointed somebody to oversee the security and safety of the 2020 election. I'm talking about Krebs. Krebs did a very nice work. I know the committee said that this is the freest and safest election ever. And the people who work there, they all agreed. But because Trump lost, there is no way, my brother, that election will be free and fair if Trump loses. And that's it. Because he lost, he said no, he fired the guy. Someone, a fellow Republican he appointed. Crest, for crying out loud, is a Republican.
And he was fired by a Republican.
Yes, because the guy said the election was free and fair. And he was in charge of the security to monitor whether this election is fair. And after doing it, they now brought out the report that this election was, this is the bomb, so to speak. That we have never had it so good. Right. But how could it be so good if Trump loses? So that's the problem we have.
All right, now you raised the point talking about reversing some of those laws, some of those bills, so to speak, that Trump has been able to, make to become part of the fabric of America. Talking about the immigration laws and some other laws. You talked about the Democrats occupying more seats. They just needed two, or they need two.
They need two now, yes.
Yeah, to make up the chunk that we're able to reverse.
Because 50-50.
Yeah.
After the working machineries of the U.S. Senate,
yes.
The vice president is the president pro tempore of the Senate. So if there is a tie, the vice president will not have the decisive vote. So that's how it works. So if they can clinch those 2 seats in Georgia, then it is well and good.
But do you see them grabbing those 2 seats?
Yes, the very Reverend Warnock, the present pastor in the church that Dr. King, the church of Martin Luther King then in Atlanta, Georgia, is only from one of those seats. I think that one that from all indications, that will get
all announced it. We'll get the seat.
But that other also, there's one other white guy running there. It's just kind of tough. It's a tough call. But I think they will get one. But if they get two, that will be splendid.
All right. Now, knowing fully well that right now, according to record, is absolutely correct. Joe Biden is the oldest United States of American president if he is sworn in come January. Now, what do you think will be the position of the youth in America? Do you see them forming a chunk, or if it was a large chunk in government when we talk about Joe Biden's administration?
Yes, there are few appointments that Biden has made now. Even when Biden, as vice president, he had a security advisor who was then in his, I think it was at 31, 32 then.
Yeah.
The guy now is 44. He has been appointed as the national security advisor to the president, just at 44. That is splendid. And the other brilliant ones, like the press corps you just talked about, the communication director, the spoke, all of them, they are pretty young. Pretty young. I don't think if anyone is up to 45 amongst them. So that is that. So the Democratic Party has always been part of the youth. It has always been the party of those who aspire to become better than they are today. It's a party that is open to everybody. And so, and some of the appointments Biden has been making is to that
age bracket.
Yes. Of course, he has so many persons. Some people say it's a continuation, it's a third term of Obama. He has so many of them now, they have served with him before. He was in the Senate for over 30 years, almost 40 years. So, vice president. So, you have people who have worked with him all these years that is very comfortable with. And many of them he has brought to, like the chief of staff, Ron Klein. That one was also with him. Even the Secretary of State now that he just appointed, that one was also part of his this thing before. So there are so many like that. But there's a place for the youth, and the appointment, like I said, over 4,000 appointments to be made. He hasn't made up to 100 now.
Now, all right. Now, do you see the influence of Barack Obama in selecting Joe Biden's cabinet? Because he went all out to campaign for Joe Biden, talking against Donald Trump, hyping Joe Biden is like, an extension of Barack Obama. Do you see his influence in this cabinet?
If you talk about Obama's influence, then you have to talk about what in essence that means is in the Democratic Party, there are two competing wings of the party. We have the moderate, which is being presented by Obama, Biden ticket. Then we have the progressives, the Sanders, Alexander Ocasio people. Those are what Trump called the radical left. So, but they will tell you that for you to get anything done, you have to be radical. anything meaningful cannot be done. This is bread and butter politics. You have to put your foot down. You have to be radical. So that does it. And that's the argument going on today, that the appointment he has made so far, those guys are the gentle type, and that the Republicans they have shifted the goalposts. They have made it very clear that they are not ready to play by any rule of gentility again. That these people are not hard enough. Imagine a party that nominates a judge to the highest court of the land some few days
to election.
When I tell you, my brother, in the last year of Obama administration, a seat became vacant 6 months before the election. Mitch McConnell refused to even table hearing, to even listen to anybody. He said the American people must have a say on who fills the vacant seat at the Supreme Court. 6 months. This same party now, some few days to election, they hurried and nominated Armin Barrett to the Supreme Court. So is it the party, so what the left is not saying, is it the party you want to deal with gently, that you want to say, let's work with them, that if you talk to them, they will listen to you? You say, no, these guys have sold themselves to the devil, so to speak. They're not ready for all this, your gentility, or that you need to do something. You need to ruffle the ground and tell them that you mean business. That's what Trump did. Like, Trump made business. He broke all etiquette and he broke all rules, and he got away with them. That if we are to leave our marks, if we are to let the American people get free drugs, free education, the student debt being paid, all those massive people-oriented things that Trump and his ally call socialism, if you have to get them done, you need to be able to, there's no way by cooperating with the Republican you can get those, they will never agree. So that's it. That's the fight in the Democratic Party now between the moderate and the progressive, or what they call the radical left. Right, so the appointments so far, we have, and again, at the cabinet level, for your appointment to say true, to get there, you need Senate confirmation. And today's Senate, that is still being Republican majority, will not nominate, agree, or pass anybody who is from the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. I don't see it happening. Even Bernie Sanders is being tipped for Labour Secretary. I doubt if they will even, if that nomination will say true. So that's that. So it's a battle between the, and so far, okay, all the employments, all the appointments have been those of moderates. All
right, now talking about the moderate and of course the progressive, what you call the far left of the Democrats, who do you think should really form majority of Joe Biden's cabinet? We'll be right back after this break. Thank you so much for staying tuned. It's all about Joe Biden's cabinet, knowing fully what will be inaugurated come January 2021. Now, the battle for the cabinet of Joe Biden is ongoing, like what you rightly talked about. The Republicans, they are dogged, they are tough, they are decisive. And from one observation, it's like the moderate Democrats are just being the one feeded right now in the cabinet. Now, what do you think will happen if all cabinet members with Joe Biden are just moderate in nature?
If it happens, it is just for Biden to nominate somebody from the left, and he has done his work. If the person cannot pass through Senate, that's not his problem. I think Biden will nominate not a sizable number of people from the left, but that's the agreement he had with Bernie Sanders. So that what happened in 2016. The progressive didn't like Hillary Clinton. Most of them stayed at home, were playing basketball, doing something else that day. They didn't go out to vote. So because they were very happy the way the party treated
Joe Biden,
the progressive,
the progressive, Bernie Sanders. Yeah,
so
Bernie Sanders.
So they had this time, that thing didn't occur. So they were in harmony. They had a deal. Going forward, what they want to see, what they call it, to take the environment seriously. And it's also part. It's also a win for the progressive that Biden has created a special office to tackle climate change by appointing former Secretary of State Kerry to lead that set to take the climate issue very seriously.
Yeah.
So that's one of the what the progressive are talking about, that they needed to be serious to take climate change for what it is, as a national security risk, that we don't face a bigger risk today than what is happening to nature, that mass activity on earth now is polluting nature and something has to be done about it. So that's a win for the progressive. And of course, we also have certain other persons that have been lined up for cabinet positions. Of course, if we nominate them, if they can pass through
the Senate,
is another
majorly occupied by the Republicans.
Yes, and that's why they need those 2 seats in Georgia.
All right. Well, only time will tell. We can go on and on, but let's just see how it's going to unfold. Joe Biden is president-elect, and of course, Trump is beginning to concede. Let's just see how all this will pan out. Osa Holmes, as well, legal practitioner, thank you so much for coming to the show. I appreciate your coming.
Thank you very much.
See you again next week, Tuesday, on International Forum. Bye for now.